Welcome, everyone. Long day, FSU. Junior day just wrapped up. Technically, there's going to be some more stuff coming on the Sunday, but just want to go over some things, guys, of the junior day. Really good junior day. Probably over, I would say, 50 kids, 55 prospects, probably around 24 or so that are serious targets, maybe a little more than that. But I want to go over that, kind of just some of the highlights. For those that haven't seen it, you can go to the PRB. There's the recruiting wrap that I already posted just a little while ago. I'll first start with the commitments for FSU, because certainly people want to know about how the class is going. Luke Crumhoke was there. For those that missed it, in our updates, he had like 40 teammates with him. I think they had a 7-on-7 they were playing, and certainly Luke was there, and he's very excited and seemed locked in. He seems to be the guy that's ready to take the mantle for his, just leading this class. And even talked about recruiting Landon Thomas, who visited FSU, the four-star tight end. So he's certainly on a lot of guys. He knows FSU where he wants to be. Same kind of message with a lot of the other commits, like defensive back CJ Hurd told me kind of some similar things. Very recruiting very hard for FSU, and then Cam Davis, same thing. Where a lot of these guys just made it clear, like, look, if as long as there's not some massive coaching change, I'm going to be here. I'm gonna be at FSU, and that's certainly where they plan on being. So certainly some good news to start off with the commitments. I will start off with tight end Landon Thomas. That one kind of surprised me. He wasn't on my list, guys. I'm not going to lie. He was not expected to be there, or I hadn't heard that he was going to be there. But I knew FSU was still recruiting him. So he's certainly a guy that was the biggest news of the day, of just him being there. For those that don't remember, he was a former FSU commit. Obviously, they were going through turmoil and coaching changes at that time, and he decided to back out of that commitment. And then he later committed to Georgia. Now FSU's starting to get the product right, and he's come back. FSU stayed on him. Norvell stayed on him. I'll have a full story on Landon probably tomorrow morning, but there's a lot of excitement, and he made it clear, like, I'm going to come back here several times. So FSU's not going down, and he certainly is listening. He even told me, I'm definitely going to take an official visit here. He mentioned Ohio State and Georgia's other places he'll probably take an official visit. So that's a guy to certainly monitor throughout the year. FSU doesn't have a tight end that does what Landon does. I think Landon's one of the best tight ends in the country, in my opinion. So certainly that would be a big coup if FSU could later pull that off. I don't expect any development with that until late in the year, but it's clear that he's listening, and certainly FSU made a big impact on this visit today. Certainly, they connected with him. He likes how their tight ends are used, both with Cam McDonald, and he likes what they're going to plan on doing with this offense to kind of expand the tight end to like almost like another receiver out there. So I think he was certainly very impressed with what they're doing on the field. And moving to the offensive line, Jason Zanda Mela. If I said it wrong, I apologize. Jason's from the same school as Lucas Simmons. He's from Clearwater International Academy. It's a new school, kind of one of those schools similar, to kind of some of the stuff that IMG Academy does. They play a lot of national teams. Got some of the greatest coaches there. Certainly, some really good developers as far as high school talent. So when you're going after a guy that's from that school, it's certainly you're getting a guy that you feel like when they get to college, they're going to be ready to roll. Talk to him for a little while. He pointed out to me several times about FSU, and the feeling he get is different than any other place. Indication was that FSU is the team to watch, certainly in that race. I think hey, obviously he's close friends with Lucas. He is also an international kid. He's from Africa. Told me that earlier today. So he's a guy they like a lot in the interior. So certainly FSU's got some positive momentum already building there. Another surprise visitor today was four-star defensive tackle Omar White. He was on my list, but I'll be honest, guys, I wasn't confident that he was going to show. But a lot of previous ties with FSU, likes Odell a lot. Odell has certainly been on him for a couple years already. Quayshawn Sapp, who's a former teammate of his at Lee County, was around him most of the day. this was when they kind of kept secret around where they kind of shuttled him off a lot, away from the other, I guess, junior day visitors. So I did hear that went really well. I think I heard from somebody around that were close to Omar that told me, like, look, we know he's committed to Colorado, but a lot of people are skeptical that he ends up there down the line. They just feel like he's going to stay somewhere in the South, whether that's FSU, Alabama, or Georgia. That's something that I will monitor throughout the year. But certainly getting him on campus was a big deal for FSU. Visit sounded like it went pretty well. Everything seemed to click, but still, like I said, it's early, and this is one that I'm probably going to be tracking, most of the year again. And then at the defensive end position, they had several guys on campus. Dylan Stevenson, top 100 defensive end. I think that's Miami FSU battle. I think FSU certainly made a big solid splash today. This is like his fifth visit to FSU. It's going to take an official to FSU. He really is intrigued and excited about what FSU's done with a guy he knows well, and Patrick Payton, who's also from Miami. So I think that certainly has some momentum going with FSU, getting him on campus again. And then I think he's probably going to come back probably for a spring game or something. So certainly going to see him a lot. And then the other defensive end I mentioned several times on the hot boards and stuff is LJ McCray. He's not really detailed with how he explains stuff, but I could tell like FSU is very high on his list. He really likes the connection he has with JP, the defensive ends coach John Papuis. So I think there's certainly they've done a great job in that recruitment. He even told me that FSU's recruiting on the hardest. So those are two defensive ends I would really keep in mind. Also talked to Zion Grady. He's a 2025 defensive end. A lot of people say he's probably one of the best weak side defensive ends in the country. He's still early in the process, but he's certainly connected with the FSU staff a lot. He felt really good about it, and so those are some of the guys right now, guys. I just wanted to go over kind of some brief major targets. You can read the whole recruiting wrap if you go to the PRB. It tells you everything that's in there. We cover a lot of that stuff. We just posted a Dylan Stevens story of the visit. I'm going to have a big, massive size notebook that covers all these visitors that I talked to, today. Just break down everything with what they had to say, their thoughts, but certainly a very positive weekend. For those that don't know how the junior days work, basically, they get there around 10 a.m., do a meet and greet inside the IPF. I think show some highlights of FSU football from the season. All the people sit around, they watch. There's just a lot of fellowship and interacting, and then there's some games where they can play, I guess cornhole or different games where they can relax, and then following that, they do a lot of stuff inside the Moore Athletic Center. A lot of stuff like meeting with the players, doing team meetings, doing breaking down film with the coaches. Obviously, one of the favorite things is the photo shoot. They did that certainly. So that's kind of a breakdown of how the junior day works. For those that are wondering, yes, they do feed them. They had a buffet there. They certainly fed them really well inside the IPF. So those are kind of just some of the small highlights. For those that haven't paid attention, there's going to be another junior day on next weekend. It's probably their climax of the junior days since they're going to be a dead period in February. So I've heard there's going to be some major names on that list. So stay tuned to that, and certainly stay tuned to Warchant for more coverage of the FSU Junior Day, and certainly I'll be back at FSU again tomorrow. They have a few more visitors that will be there on Sunday, and I'll give you guys the latest. But just stay tuned to our coverage on warchant.com.